everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Leandra the TBR0, and today I will be telling you what my goals are for 2025. These are goals for my channel, but also goals for my reading life in general, ensuring that I challenge myself in 2025 while also making sure that I still have joy in what I'm reading. I also did this last year in 2024, so I will be looking at those goals simply to decide if I want to renew any of them, if some of them I found too easy, too hard, or just not quantifiable enough for me to really feel as though I have accomplished them. And then we'll get into the goals that I have decided to, challenge myself anew. When it comes to 2024, I did end up solidifying 6 goals. Really, they're challenges. If I didn't accomplish them, nothing would happen. I didn't provide any type of punishment this year, and that worked really well for me because it ensured that I was still able to feel a lot of flexibility in the books I picked up. The first goal that I had was to read 100 books. Now, for a lot of you, you're just like, Leandra, that was so easy, because I ended up reading 100 books in the first 6 months of the year. This was actually the first time I ever made that goal. Prior to 2024, my goal was always to read 50 books, and it was actually in 2023 when I ended up reading 120 something. I was like, okay, I feel confident. I don't think this is going to be as hard of a goal as I always thought it would be. And then I just smashed it out of the park. It definitely helped that I participated in a lot of competitive readathons. I hosted 2 readathons, and I also did a lot of collaborative projects that encouraged me to read more than I ever would have before. Plus, I leaned on audiobooks more this year. I've gotten more into manga and graphic novels. So it was just a perfect storm. So that's why today I have read maybe over 200. I may be in the 230s at this point. That actually might not be accurate, but somewhere in that ballpark. So realistically, this was a very easy goal, and it just allowed me to have no pressure when I was picking up books. Now, the goal that I am 100% sure that I did not accomplish was kind of a subcategory to this, and I was hoping that of that 100 plus books I read, a third of those books would be my physical TBR. That absolutely did not happen. I want to say that maybe 10% of the books that I read this year were from my physical TBR, and a lot of that is thanks to the fact that I'm doing 12 books of Murder Myths, where I wrapped 16 owned books from my TBR, and now I am reading them as quickly as I can in the last month of the year for those blogging projects. And before that, I'd only read maybe 20 books from my physical TBR all year. That doesn't mean that I was going off and buying books willy-nilly. I was simply leaning on my library, my physical library, Libby and Hoopla. I also had NetGalley ARCs, physical ARCs, and of course my purchase books in 2024. And there is a goal related to that. We will get to it in a second. Another loose goal that I had was simply to post on Booktube twice a week. And for the most part, I accomplished that. I realized in the latter third of the year, though, that I did need to take a step back and make sure to take care of myself, not force myself to post content that I wasn't proud of, that I wasn't satisfied with creating. So you will see, or may have noticed, that sometimes there was just one video a week, and that's totally fine. I think that it's really important to have a schedule for yourself to ensure that you're not letting Booktube take over your life, and I'm speaking to other creators out there, but at the same time, give yourself some grace and miss a week if you need to, or simply change up your schedule if that helps for you. For instance, even the strictness of Sunday and Thursday, there were definitely times, actually this week, where instead of posting on Thursday, I would either skip the week, again, just not post, or today I posted on Friday. I had the video ready. It was actually my second part to my Murder Myth vlogs, and I definitely needed it to go out this week, but by the time I finished editing, because I ended up not feeling well, I didn't want to be in front of a computer, I still had books to finish, so then I had it posted, or at least finished, at 11 p.m. last night. I'm not going to post a video at 11 p.m. just to ensure that I have it on that Thursday deadline. It makes more sense to post it more so around the time that people would typically watch my content, so instead, posted it on Friday, around the same time I usually post, and look at that, the world didn't break. It's okay to be flexible, and I was glad to have this goal in my mind, but I certainly wasn't going to force myself to abide by it if it was going to hurt my mental and physical emotional health. My third goal for 2024 is currently in progress. I can see the light, Am I going to accomplish it? I actually have no idea, and I will probably do a bit of an audit video during like the first or second year of January to confirm if I accomplished it or not, and that is to read every book that I've purchased in 2024. Every quarter, I have been doing a video as a bit of a check-in to not only showcase all the books that I've bought as my version of a book haul, but I also have been checking off my list, seeing, hey, did I read this prior to purchase, or did I buy it and now it's on my list to read ASAP? And at the moment, I won't give it away, but there's a chance I'll accomplish this, and there's also a chance I won't, and I'm gonna have to assess what that means. Either way, I'm really proud of myself for sticking to this goal, because even if I don't accomplish or succeed in reading all books I bought in 2024, I'll get really close, and that in itself means that it was a successful challenge. Goal number 4 was another type of vague qualitative goal, and that was to simply read more in certain categories or genres. So horror, fantasy, sci-fi, manga, and cozies. And I think I've accomplished that for everything except for sci-fi. I've definitely read more manga. I've definitely read way more horror, especially horror that was published in 2024. With fantasy, I have my collaborations to thank for that. Battle of the Booktuber, my Meet the Booktuber series, as well as a Can We Trust Booktuber series that I participated in for about the first half of the year. All of those were pretty fantasy heavy because a lot of my friends, a lot of the collaborators I worked with this year are fantasy readers. So it's thanks to them that I actually accomplished that goal. So for cozies, I think I have read more cozies this year, but not necessarily in the cozy mystery subgenre. It's more so been like cozy sci-fi, cozy horror, cozy fantasy. It's been interesting. There are definitely cozies that I 100% vibe with, that I loved, gave 100 of the stars, all the stars apparently. What is a 5-star scale? I don't know where I was going with that. But then there's been cozies that I definitely have seen the cracks. I have criticism. So I can't say that I love all cozies, but I have experienced enough where I know what I like and I know what I don't like. But like I said, the one area that personally I think I've failed is sci-fi. I really haven't read as much sci-fi this year, and prior to this year, my top genres, I would argue, were mystery and sci-fi. So this year I've kept up with mystery because of course I have, but the fact that I have read more horror and fantasy this year has probably overshadowed the sci-fi books that I would likely have picked up. And then just continuing series I've started previously. I think I've done a pretty good job with that. I did start so many new series, but I would argue that this year, and I'm only kind of comparing this as like, you know, a side-eye glance, is when I'm thinking about repeat authors versus new to me authors, hands down, I read more new to me authors. If I look at my bullet journal right now, remember, I have read over 200 books this year, and I've kept track of the new to me authors I've collected, and so far I have read 124 new to me authors. And I will say that a handful of these new to me authors I have just, you know, found this year, and then I've proceeded to read a second, a third, a fourth book by them. Hence why about maybe like 70 plus authors have been repeats. But that's actually less than last year. Last year, I think it was probably like 80% of the books I was picking up were new to me. And I do think I have been returning to authors that I have enjoyed more this year than I have ever before. So I do think that that must mean that I've gotten better about continuing series a little bit. So keeping those goals in mind, the question now is, what do I want to continue with? Are there any goals from 2024 that I want to renew? I would say yes. There is definitely one goal, 2 goals that I would like to renew. The first one is to renew my challenge to read every single book I purchase within the year. So that means every book I purchase in 2025, my goal is then to read those within the year before we reach January 1st, 2026. This time around though, I think it could be fun to incorporate rewards and punishments. Now the punishment would come in the end, obviously. So if I reach January 1st, 2026 and there are books left over, maybe the punishment would be I either have to unhaul the book that I purchased in 2025 or I have to unhaul a different book from my physical TBR. I would likely do the latter option. I'm saying that here and now. My reward, now I think that could be quarterly. So if I ever reach a quarter where I have completely cleared out every book that I've purchased and I've read all of them, maybe I can reward myself with a book haul. And that could be maybe like 3 books. I take you all with me shopping. That could be really fun. And then obviously the reward, with it comes the caveat that I've added books that I now need to read prior to the next quarter. Let me know what you think in the comments. If there's a way I should tweak that, I would love to pick your brains about it. The other goal that I want to renew for 2025 is to read more in certain genres, but I'm gonna say sci-fi. I feel really comfortable and confident about the genres and categories that I've added, that I don't think I really need to monitor them. So horror, fantasy, manga, cozy. What I want to do is make up for the fact that I've missed out on sci-fi this year. And I literally said that I wanted to read so much more sci-fi in 2024, and then the year ran away with me. So I will say that I would like to read maybe more sci-fi than I have this year. That could provide a little bit of a baseline where it's not like I'm expecting to read every other book be sci-fi, but I'll look at the number of books that I've read that are sci-fi from 2024 and simply say I want to read one more book that is in the sci-fi genre than I did in 2024. And now for my new challenges. Well, challenge number 3 is going to sound as though I'm a bit oppositional and, dare I say, a trendsetter. Maybe I'm trying to go against the grain here. I'm not. This has been done so many times and by so many other people. In fact, this video hasn't come out yet, but obviously I am friends with this person, so I know that she's going to discuss this, and I'm not going to give a spoiler. But Brittany Loves Reading is going to have some very interesting discussions about reading goals and what her plans are for 2025. So keep an eye out for that. I'll say that she is far more daring than I'm going to be with this goal. But my goal is simply to read less in 2025. As grateful as I am for the amount of free time, for the opportunities I've had to read at the volume I've read this year, I think that over 200 books is just too much for me. It really is. I'm not saying that I want to read less than 100 or anything like that. I know for a fact that I am at this rate where it's not like I'm going to suddenly drop off the face of the earth and only read a book a month, but I do think that I need to calm myself and slow down the fact that I have been in the double digits every single month without fail. And some of those have been like 20 something books in a month. Yes, we're talking about audiobooks and manga, graphic novels, middle grade, but in general, it doesn't really matter. It's still a book. It doesn't matter if it's 1,000 pages or 100 pages. And I would just like to read less. For me, I would love to not feel as though my brain is so full with the number of books that I'm reading. And with that said, again, I'm trying not to make my goals be something I have to monitor too heavily, especially when I'm already monitoring one, which is my purchase reads. That's one that I am like on myself every single day about. So I don't want all of my goals to be like that. With this one, I'm going to say I want to read at least one book less than I did in 2024, because I'm still reading and I still have so many books I want to finish by the end of the year. And once I get that final number, then my goal will be to read at least one less than that. And yeah, because if I'm reading more than that, what am I doing, Leandra? Someone needs to have an intervention and talk with me. My 4th goal is involving content. So my Booktube channel. I still actually feel really good about my schedule being on Sunday and Thursdays. I love that on Thursdays, if I want to do a vlog, that's usually when I'll do it, to provide everyone the weekend to watch a vlog. Typically that's because vlogs are longer than anything else versus my Sunday videos. I like those to be sit down. My goal is kind of surrounding my sit down videos. For that, I would like to get into some content that I have done before, but I don't do it that frequently, and that includes book recommendation videos or themed lists where people can kind of figure out where they want to go from there. And one video that I'm very excited and I definitely want to do in 2025 is a guide for beginners when it comes to Agatha Christie. So many people were really kind and supportive when I provided that option as something I was kind of playing around with in the back of my head during my first Murder Miss vlog. I mean, we have Kirsten from the Reading Nymph. I also had Adventures in Fantasy, Witchy Reads, Patty, and so did Athena's Biblioteca. All of you were very supportive in saying, I would love a beginner's guide to Agatha Christie. So that's definitely an area I want to do a recommendation list in, and just mysteries in general. I know that there are other booktubers who do this, so it's not like I'm adding something new to the platform, but I think it's something new to, you know, it's a new arrow to my bow, you know? So I think that I'm really excited to do that. And that leaves me me with my 5th goal, my final goal for 2025. And I think it's fitting that it involves my TBR, so my physically owned TBR. But if we can be honest, that is a term that I've kind of extended at this point. Yes, I want to focus on my physical TBR as Leandra, the TBR zero, whose goal is to one day become a TBR hero. That used to be my introduction in videos during my first year. Fun fact. I am a TBR zero at the moment who hopes to one day become a TBR hero. Whoa, a throwback. So I do want to focus on that, and I think my purchased reading goal helps me because it prevents me from growing my TBR too much as I slowly chip away at it. But I have to acknowledge that we read from so many other areas. I mean, like I said, Libby, Hoopla, I have NetGalley arcs and physical arcs. So I want to keep in mind that those are areas that I will be grabbing from, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not some negative thing that I've decided to prioritize a book that I've gotten from the library instead of a book that I own. But I would like to ensure that I am focusing on my physical TBR. So I think that for that one, it might be fun and not too much of a pressure on me to ensure that I am reading 2 books from my physical TBR a month, or really like 25 in 2025. Maybe that's what I should do, is make sure that I read at least 25 books from my physically owned TBR. That's better. We are making goals on the fly here, friends. I think that's actually better, and I like the rhythm of that. And that actually lends itself to one of my bullet journal spreads, which is 25 in 2025, and that's simply me just hoping to read 25 books in my TBR. So that's what we're gonna do. My 5th goal is to make sure that I read 25 books from my physical TBR, and I think that's doable. I don't think it's that easy, because realistically that is 2 books a month, 3 in one of the months. And I can't necessarily rely on Murder Miss coming back next year. It might, but you know, it's kind of crazy where if I'm thinking, okay, so 25 books, 16 of them are going to be in the last 4 weeks of the year. Leandra, you're insane. So yeah, those are my goals for 2025. I'd love to hear your reactions, your own thoughts. What goals are you going to have in 2025? Do we have any similar ones, or do you have any suggestions on how to add a little bit of spice to the goals I've already made for myself? If you're not feeling chatty, maybe try to include some emojis that involve New Year celebrations. So I think there's like a champagne bottle, obviously like fireworks or celebration party stuff works, you know, that kind of thing. Shrimp, I think there's a shrimp emoji. You have fun in the comments trying to figure out what might include New Year's Eve types of celebration emojis. Thank you so much to my Manor guests. I really do appreciate you all. You have been with me for over half a year at this point, and I cannot wait to see what we end up getting up to in the Manor in 2025. So sleuths, witnesses, suspects, my corpses, my very cold and well-preserved corpses. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!